Hello, everyone. Welcome along to another podcast here. It is Enron uh, recording today. A nice little kind of ad hoc podcast for you Patreon guys, and maybe a few extra others as well. We're not really sure yet. Might be Patreon, might not be Patreon. Haven't really thought too much about it, but it's for the WRS, the Wild Rocket series, of course, sponsored by our friends at Wild. Make sure to give them a follow on Twitter and support them as much as possible. Subscribe to their newsletter on the website, guys. It's got some good stuff as well. And yeah, obviously, if you don't if you don't know what the WRS is, of course, it is the 1500 euro tournament circuit sponsored by Wild. It is yeah, well, it's an exciting enough little circuit that they have going here, and of course it's hosted by us here in Oral Ireland. So make sure to check that out. Play in it as well, and obviously the more we can have playing and competing in this, the better it is long term for Irish Rocket League as a whole. But yeah, look, the list today, very simply, is my top 10 players to watch out for. Within the community, people I think that can make a big run. And yeah, if my screen didn't just die very briefly there, that would be nice. I wondered, did my graphics card just die? I think it might have. Okay. Oh, should be okay. Let me just double check. This is obviously fantastic that this happens during a recording. But anyway, let's continue, and let's hope it doesn't black screen for me again. The funny thing was, I could actually see in Streamlabs OBS that the game was running fine, but it was on my monitor. It went black. So it tells me that there's obviously an issue going on at the moment with the DisplayPort cable that I have. So let's get into it anyway. Okay, so no particular order to this. There is no number to say, oh, this player is the most to watch out for, etc. I'm just going to go randomly through the list of players that I have. Let's start, of course, with I guess the player that did the best at the Super Omega Cup, DMAX. DMAX for me, well-known quantity in Irish Rocket League. LAN winner, of course. Not many people have that title. Has done very well in past tournaments. Shows up every so often, surprises a lot of people. His quality is known, and he's got a couple of those quality wins under his belt. For me, DMAX, let's see what he can do. I'd like to know what kind of team he can get himself onto. I suspect he'll be on a team at Red Eyes, and potentially, I would say LTX Sam. That would be my bet at the moment, if I was to judge it off the players that he could potentially play with. But no one, if he's going to be with Red Eyes, I reckon they might bring in a kind of non-Irish talent if they can at all. A really good player in that regard. But yeah, DMAX, people always sleep on him. They've slept on him for so many tournaments, and yet he always comes out and pulls off a really good result. So for me, the big man from Mead himself, he's going to be a player to watch out for. I think DMAX could do a lot of damage here at the WRS. But let's see, it's going to be important to make sure he gets on the right team. And him and Red Eyes, of course, have very good chemistry. Having won Super Omega in the threes, DMAX, of course, comes second in the twos, winning it overall. So DMAX is my my first player, I guess, that I can think of that would be a player to watch out for. The second one is actually Yem. So Yem, of course, he has won an IEC in the past. But he's had a couple of howlers in terms of 3v3 tournaments. He did win six-mans, Premier six-mans that just passed in the month there for January. So there is a lot of responsibility on the man from Cork. He's got a very good team that we're going to talk about, I guess, in another maybe show. Him, Spectre, and Toxics. And for me, this is it. Yem has to start winning things. You know, he has to really show up. This is his best chance to win a good bit of money. And yeah, Yem got to show up. He did decent in the twos. Probably slightly, maybe, I guess, carried our friend DMAX at the second place there. DMAX looked a little bit out of his element in the twos. But Yem in the threes really messed up badly. Him, Shallow, and Spectre really underperformed in that 3v3, like really, really badly, considering they're all ranked B+ players, and that was a shocking performance from them. So they have to pick it up. And Yem, for me, he's definitely one of my players to watch. We've seen his quality in six-mans in Premier, and we all know he's a B+ player, of course, so he's obviously good enough. Can he get a win here? That's the question. Next up is actually a player who's not currently in the server, who was, I guess, banned for a while, and of course is due to miss the first tournament and maybe the second one, depending on when they come back to the server. But it's Mug. I mentioned Mug on this list simply because 5-time LAN champion. The quality is well known, and the reason why Fuchsia isn't on this list is because Fuchsia just won't be around. And best of luck, Fuchsia, with your surgery that you're getting when you're going over to Spain. Make sure to give her some support. But for Mug, I guess, you know what you're getting. Mug doesn't play it again for ages. Manages to get day 3 top 64 in Oral CS in the third qualifier for the winter split. Absolute quality player. if Mug can get himself onto a really good team, you know, you can't count Mug out. Always, always thereabouts. Next player up on the list is Adzer. Now, we talk about quality in Rocket League, but doesn't play often enough. Maybe a bit more on the casual side these days. Adzer is the player I think of in that regard. A real quality player is Adzer, and I can already tell you that he's confirmed to play with Ryan, his friend Ryan, and Mayday. That's going to be a very good team. I'm not sure if it's going to be good enough to win anything, but we'll see. They're definitely going to be a challenger. And Adzer is a phenomenal player, and obviously, you know, a second place at a LAN before, another victory at another one. So one of the few people that has won a LAN title is Adzer, and of course Ryan. And yeah, Adzer for me, having really carried that team to an RLIS win back in Season 3, him, Mayday, and it was Rez at the time. You can't, like, Adzer managed to carry Hiccup to a win in a drop shot tournament. Adzer's quality, everyone knows it, and you have to really be careful around Adzer. I guess the next player on my list is Rob Kiernan. Of course, going to miss the first monthly due to being muted for toxicity and number slanderous reasons, but can't sleep on Rob Kiernan. Rob Kiernan, of course, has made RLCS main event. One of 3 Irish players to do it, with Mike Rules, of course, in the past, and Vert, currently a pro. So, Rob, of course, really good player, and, you know, depending on the team that Rob ends up on, you'd have to say favourites to win it, you know, and I'm sure Rob is thinking about that at the moment, what kind of team he can get himself onto to get himself a win. We'll see. Rob has a tendency of not taking these kind of tournaments seriously, and with that, I guess the Spectre EM Toxic team, like, then again, of course, you could say the same about Spectre, but we'll see. High expectations on Rob, expected to win this no matter what kind of team he ends up on. So Rob is obviously one of my players to watch out for. And following on from that, Spectre, of course, I already mentioned EM earlier, his teammate. Spectre, phenomenal player, but doesn't always have the results to back it up. Has an IEC win, has an RLIS win as well. RLIS, of course, a bit more random as we know, but still has an RLIS win. An IEC win, of course, as well. But Spectre, for me, you know, underperforms in a lot of tournaments. Can he come out and win? Because Spectre has a really good record in the bubble scene in terms of, like, tournaments that he wins. And this is kind of it, really. You know, like, this is going to be the big tournament in Irish Rocket League, and he has to really step up now and really take these tournaments by the scruff of the neck. He's picked up EM, very solid teammate. Not sure what Toxic is like, but as a teammate, but I've been told very high quality B+ player as well. So yeah, Spectre, this is the moment. You have to really step up now and show everyone your quality, and take it somewhat seriously. That's the biggest thing. Next up on my list is LTX Sam. I know this is going to raise a few eyebrows, but Sam is a very good player when he's not making a few silly mistakes like taking the ball across his own net. Can probably manage to get his way onto a top 4 team, in my opinion, with the mechanics that Sam has. We shall see what kind of team he ends up on, because he is a very good player. Big moment for Sam. 4 IEC finals, no wins, game 7 loss. Has to really start winning tournaments now. This is it, really. You know, it's either that or you're just always going to be that kind of player that's not quite good enough in Irish Rocket League. You have to start winning, and, you know, you have to get at least one of these monthlies under your belt, if not a major. And Sam, of course, some impressive results in 6-mans already this month. Yeah, Sam's one to watch out for me. Next up on the list is Shallow. Now, Shallow at the moment is involved in a bit of a roster mania with, I guess, a few players like Vert, Metza, Cash, Rob Kieran, etc. There's a couple of people involved in that, and it's just a mess. But Shallow hoping to get onto a really good team. If Shallow doesn't, of course, it'll be a shocker. And Shallow, I'm not sure has the backbone to play it out if they don't get onto a very good team. But Shallow, excellent performance in the 2v2 part of Super Omega. Has consistently underperformed though in 3s environment, I would say. Obviously has 1 or 2 wins in IECs, but I always feel like that's when he's on a real powerful super team. I don't feel like he's got the ability to take a game by the scruff of the neck, so we'll have to see. Expectations around Shallow no matter what team he goes on to, because a lot of people rate him very highly, and he's got to really perform now going forward. I think the only person I have left on my list to mention, no, there's 2, yes, Ineffable and Red Eyes. Let's start with Red Eyes then in that case. Red Eyes, of course, 3v3 champion in Super Omega on a very good team. Really, I think, performed like the Red Eyes of old, in my opinion. Excellent tournament showing by Red Eyes. They're, look, the online champion for a long time until displaced, I would say, by Mug. one of the poster boys of All Ireland as well. Calm, cool, really, really nice person. Just everything you really want from a professional player, if he was a professional, that is, I guess. But look, for not even a semi-professional player, great person, good skill, good understanding of the game. Can Red Eyes though? Can he win these tournaments? That's the question. There's going to be a lot of not pressure or expectation, but with Red Eyes, you know you're going to be able to challenge if Red Eyes is on the team. There's just so many tournaments in the past where Red Eyes does challenge, and just as I say that, my screen actually just died again, so I'm probably going to have to replace my DisplayPort cable after. But I looked over at Streamlabs and I was able to play the game there for that split second. Yeah, but Red Eyes quality. Can he do it? We'll find out. I think he's going to be on a team with DMAX. I'm not sure who else, but I reckon it'll be Sam or Ross, aka Arctic, so we'll see what happens there. Final player, Ineffable, seen as the best player outside of Rob Kieran and Vert in Ireland at the moment. I'm not sure about the 3v3 environment, if that's the case, but Ineffable is a very smart player. I'm not sure if he has the time to play the game or wants to play the game anymore at a competitive level. A lot of questions to answer there for Ineffable, but if Ineffable can get onto a team, you know, this Ineffable's absolute quality. Really, really good player. And yeah, well, difficult to say exactly what the expectations will be for Ineffable, because he came second in Super Omega overall. Obviously won the 2v2, but I think that was more on shallow. But in 3v3, he definitely was the best player on his team when they lost. Difficult to say, but Ineffable's he's my last player to watch and my top 10 players to watch for the Wild Rocket series. And yeah, if Ineffable can get whoever picks up Ineffable, if Ineffable ends up on a team, they're probably going to be guaranteed top 4 every time, no problem, because he's just too consistent. That's it really. Other than that, then I've got a couple of people I want to call out for not playing, and I do this even though I'm sure a couple of people like Forehead will be like, oh no, don't do it. APS aka Zol, what are you doing? Panda, what are you doing? Those are the two people that really come to mind when I say what are you doing, you know. I'm not going to call out like the lesser players that aren't currently active or in the community, the likes of Karakdan, Blad, who are all very good players at the game, because they just don't have the interest in the game anymore, and that's totally fair. But APS, Zol especially, like a player of your quality could be winning this, and you're not playing. That just baffles me. Panda, someone of your skill, land champion, what are you doing as well? That's what I have to say there. You know, there's a couple of other people as well that might not want to play Rocket League competitively anymore. Like I'm thinking of It's Pure Logic, but again, with this kind of money on the line, why not play? You know, there's a couple of people obviously, and you know, like with this kind of money on the line, like even if you're not that competitive at Rocket League anymore, give it a go. Like you could win, you know. And yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say on that. But for me, that's pretty much it, guys. Short podcast, very ad hoc, I guess. Just looking to talk about the players that I think are the ones to watch out for. Those are 10 there as well. A couple of notable shout-outs go to, of course, Ryan, aka Pad. Arctic as well, of course, is another player. I'm probably missing another one. Mayday, I think, as well, is another very, very good player. Of course, has won a couple of tournaments in the past as well. You know, there are other players that I probably missed out on. And Jaffa, I would say, probably. J Key, Kian. You know, there's a few that I think are all very good players. Futura, Elite Spartan, all reasonable players. Maybe not Spartan so much, but the rest of them, yeah. You know, those are all players that can do a lot of damage. And yeah, let's see who takes the first monthly. It's going to be an interesting one. Rob Kieran won't be playing, so if you're looking to make top 4, this is your chance to make a real statement. Thanks very much, guys. Take care.